Business Express 981 with Rotus. Morning, Rotus.
Hey, good morning, Ayo. Good morning to everybody out there. And apparently, Afiz just sent a message just now. Afiz, it's his birthday today.
Oh,
So happy
happy birthday,
birthday
Afiz.
to Afiz and everybody else that's celebrating their birthdays
Oh,
today.
Afiz Adeni
Hey, yes,
Ojela Day. Happy
happy
birthday
birthday.
to you.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so if you'd like to send us a message on WhatsApp, please do so. Number to send that message to 0809 444 0981. On Twitter, we're at Smooth981FM. Please use the hashtag Business Express 981. Rotus usually tweets ahead of the show to let you know what he'll be talking about. So if you also want
Yeah.
to tweet questions to him, you could do that on Twitter. He's at Rotan Quote, by the way. So that's ROTANKWOT. On YouTube, we're streaming live. So please.
Thank you so much. In fact, real quick, one of my friends that gave me that name, Rotan Quote, is Cameroonian. Yeah,
Oh,
he's finally getting married in December of this year in is it Douala or Yaoundé or whatever? Yeah, they're in Cameroon. So he
yeah,
told me, yeah, he told me
Both
I
of them
should
are
go. Yeah, one of the cities there.
yeah.
I have to fly to Ivory Coast
Do you always have to
before.
monetize every?
Oh,
Do you
no,
have
no,
to?
it's Ayo, we can't travel. Cameroon is what, an hour away from us.
So you have to
I have to fly to Ivory Coast
really
before I now fly to what's it called, to
to Cameroon.
Cameroon.
Why are there no direct flights?
Look, our aviation. This is one of the things the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is supposed to be addressing. Intra trade within Africa, we do not have a proper network where you can fly directly to another. A colleague of mine. I was talking to somebody. She's going to Europe for a wedding. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember where she was. Was it Netherlands or wherever. The straight direct flights, right? And it's easier, of course. Within Europe, there's the whole Schengen thing. I shouldn't even be comparing them, but anyway. So
You should,
it's
but
just
you should. Rotus, you should.
it's just
And I do
annoying.
agree with you because sometimes it actually takes a longer time to get to countries within Africa than it is
Yes,
to get to like London
it's
or
insane. I
France.
remember. Anyway, I'll still see, and then it's more expensive as well, just to fly to Cameroon next door. Anyway, you guys, you gave me homework yesterday. I remember our listener that asked about Union Home Savings and Loans. So here's what I found out about the company. So the most recent news I found out about them, they're on the Nigerian Stock Exchange's X compliance list. The X compliance list is a transparency initiative that is supposed to help investors get more information on the performance of companies on the exchange. So publicly traded companies are supposed to be releasing their financials, quarterly, annually, and so on and so forth. If you don't, the NSE will fine you, and then they will also put you on the list. So that apparently, I'm not sure if this person is a shareholder or what, but Union Home Savings and Loans have not released their financials since 2014. So between 2014 and 2018, they haven't released their quarterly financials between 2015 and 2019. Shout out to Nairametrics. I posted an article that they published back in just last month. So if you want some information, there it is. The fines are. They are just, in fact, the fines are enough to put you out of business. Where's this thing? I think for the first 90 days, it's 100,000 naira per day. The next night, that's of you not releasing results.
Yeah.
The next 90 days is about 200,000 or so, and then from then on, it's like 400. If you add up the days going back the last 4 years, companies practically insolvent. Yeah, so that's the information that I have on Union Savings and on homes and
By
loans.
the way, that Nairametrics link you mentioned is on your Twitter page.
Yeah, I've tweeted it and we've
retweeted. So you can
retweeted
go
it.
onto Twitter to click on the link.
Exactly. What was the other homework? The other homework was Zenith Bank's 9-month results. Decent results for the 9-month period. I'm also looking at it quarter on quarter. So 9-month 2019 compared to 2018 was up by 4.5%. 150 billion naira net profits for the 9-month period. On a quarterly basis, it was actually more impressive if you compare quarter 2 to quarter 3 of 2019. 60% up. So 61 billion naira for the third quarter compared to 38 billion for the second quarter of this year. A couple things to look at. Interest income was up for Zenith Bank about 16% for quarterly growth, quarter-on-quarter growth. This was attributed to them being able to grow their loan book. So a bank makes money primarily from interest, and you want to make sure if you're looking at the performance of a bank, were you be able to grow your loans, and we're able to, get interest income from there. Now, when you look at, loan growth, you also want to worry about asset quality, because we know the central bank has come out with the loan deposit ratio increase. We've been pushing banks to increase loans. One of the worries has been, if you force the banks to push more loans, there'll be more people who will default. And if those people default, it will affect their NPLs, which is their non-performing loans. But Zenith had they've kept their non-performing loan ratio pretty low. So this guideline from the central bank is 5%. That's NPL ratio. Zenith for the 9-month period, 4.95% for 2019, as opposed to 4.98 for 2018. So they've actually reduced that a little bit. What else? Their operating expenses also declined by about 25% quarter on quarter. So decent cost management for the bank. Would I recommend the stock? Now, this is another thing here. Zenith is a blue chip company, tier 1 bank. The stock though is down. What I think it didn't even move yesterday. It was 17 naira is what the stock was at. It didn't go up or down. It was flat. But for the year, the stock is down 26%. I've avoided giving recommendations for stocks. In fact, we're going to go into breweries now.
I hope you have time to go, because we have a number of questions
already. Yeah. Okay. Well, really,
there's a recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. To go by bus to Douala or to
by bus.
Cameroon. Yes.
Who made that recommendation?
Chinaza said that you should go by bus.
Chinaza, I'm afraid though.
Benga Komu says, will the proposed army search for positive identification exercise on Nigerians not be an impediment to economic activities?
Benga, thank you. Of course it will be. I glanced at that bit of news. I didn't really go in depth, but it's a new thing where the identification for individuals traveling and a lot of other things. Yes, it's going to hamper activities. I have to go into that story a little more.
All right, Yinka, thank you. I see you. It was definitely nairametrics. And then good suggestion from Tony Okota here, who says he's lived in Calabar for he's lived in Calabar, and that for 8 hours you can fly to Calabar and get into Douala from there by sea or river. So you can get more information on that. Right.
All right, Tony, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Please, if you have to be able to swim, I can swim. Thankfully, if you want to travel by boat river, thank you for that suggestion, Tony.
All right, Tunde, thank you so much. Tunde is reporting back to the house on the effect of border closure. He experienced the effect when he wanted to buy his favorite nut, so did palm last Friday.
Okay.
A measure that's usually sold for 200 naira now sells for 500 naira. Now, date palm comes into the country from the Middle East and North Africa through Niger Republic.
Thank you for
Again,
that.
It's just talking about prices. I don't know, have you been able to eat turkey since
that area? No, the price. Oh, chicken actually, but chicken's gone up.
So chicken's gone up, but turkey is not even in the market. So
that's all.
Yeah, so it's very difficult. My usual suppliers, so not food items.
Yeah.
Then John says thank you for the information on Union Homes and Savings.
Okay, so it was John. You're welcome.
Yes.
You're welcome, John.
And Tara says I bought Skybank shares 2010. I want to sell it, but my stockbroker says I can't. Is it possible for me to sell?
Skybank became Polaris now, so that's not trading anymore. But they should have explained it to you now. That's what happened. Yeah, so that's done. That's done. Sky is not Polaris, and it's a government-owned entity, pretty much, technically.
Then talking about trade in Africa. So Yinka is saying, seriously, the issue of intercontinental travel mentioned by you is a big issue. Even calls. So imagine he calls a friend in South Africa, and when he saw his balance, he almost ran mad. So do you know they do these deals with call London, call America for as cheap as anything, but we hardly see that with African countries.
Look,
so that's a good point.
It's just I just tire.
And then Mustay says Lagos needs a special status due to the carryover of the former capital and pseudo confluence center for Nigerians. He's talking about the same pressure on Calabar and people coming to Lagos, opportunities being a big factor,
right?
And that most of the states are largely government dependent. Did you read that?
The minimum wage, have you?
No, also the report about only 3 states being able to stand.
Thank you. See, there's so many stories. These are we need 1 hour. Thank you for that. No, see, so I'm linking what you just said. Yeah. So one of the stories I have today is that the governors forum, they decided that okay, we'll pay minimum wage based on our ability to pay. Right?
Yes, yeah.
Which means what? So now take what you just said now.
So only Lagos, Rivers, and Akwa Ibom are said to be able to have enough IGR, that's internally generated revenue, without interference from the federal government.
Which now tells you how many states can pay that new minimum wage. And by the way, the federal government, they've been going back and forth. They are debiting 64 billion naira of bailout funds from the states. They've been going back and forth about that. You know, the bailouts they gave them a while back. So the governors were fighting back, saying, no, you can't debit us for this, because they now said that and I can give them a little bit of credit for this, although maybe I don't live in all the states, so I shouldn't talk. But they said that they made road repairs to some federal roads,
Okay.
and the federal government now owes them for those road repairs. So you can't now debit portions of the bailouts from us. But by and large, how many this minimum wage thing now, this is now an out for the states, and
Yes.
I kind of agree with them, because most of them are still owing
Yes.
for the 18,000,
18,000,
right?
and now
So
this is 30.
so we'll see what I want to see what the unions are now going to do, because now if the attention is switching to the states, that they can. And here's the thing, this is another thing that now gives you an argument for this whole the idea of federalism and how everything comes from the center.
Yes.
If the states are saying that, look, we can only pay minimum wage based on our individual abilities, and the fact that we all have, our own separate structures, then you can make an argument for now Nigerian states to be independent,
Independent,
and let them set their own taxes, set their own minimum wage. Each state will have its own different minimum wage.
Yes.
Have
more control.
Have more control.
Do you see that happening in the near future?
Well, that's the issue now. I don't see it happening in the near term, but I mean, it's only logical if you're going to make that argument for minimum wage.
Absolutely. So Oluwatade Ayorinde says, is it not a shame that Nigerian workers are the least paid in Africa, while our politicians are the highest paid in the whole world? And talking about Nigeria getting a PhD when people are being marginalized, correct these anomalies. Thank you so much.
Solid message, thanks.
And then Prince is saying that chicken and turkey is available in my farm. Come and buy. Thank you very much, Prince. Business is booming for us local poultry
Remember,
farmers.
Prince is selling his markets. Prince said this last week or 2 weeks ago, how he was caught in two minds as to the border closure being good for his business, but prices increasing for you and I.
Yes. Yeah. So Prince, have you increased your prices?
Of course he has. Yes, that's why I said business is booming now.
For you,
yes, now.
For me and Rotus who want to eat the consumers.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. So say then goes on to say our government has carried over the military mindset of empowering the military at the expense of the police. This may cause institutional rivalry. Racketeering will continue now that the institutions know how important these are. So talk about the IDs.
Exactly. Like Benga talked about earlier.
Yeah. Then Yinka is asking if we read about the 40,000 ghost workers out of 110,000 civil servants in Bauchi State, and that puts minimum wage aside. Putting minimum wage aside, why will Bauchi have 110,000 workers? What is their IGR?
I read that story. Thank you for that, Yinka. And this now goes back to the health of some of these states, the corruption going on. Nigeria needs a massive audit, a huge audit. I was actually saying, I can go. Cameroon is not bad.
Okay. Advertising.
He's advertising his airline. Don't worry, Aki, I'll check it out.
All right. Says, the governments at the state levels are not innovative, neither are they interested in real economic activity, just sharing money from center. So that's another issue.
Yes, look, thank you for that message, Benga. Let's read that again. It says governments of the states are not innovative and they are not interested in real economic activity. President Buhari is heading to Saudi Arabia. Business Day brought up this point.
No, he's heading to the UK now.
For health. That's another one. We are running out of time.
He's left Saudi Arabia.
He's left Saudi Arabia. Why does he keep taking governors with him? They made the point that the president should be taking members of his economic council. If you're going to Saudi Arabia to go and lobby them to please invest in Nigeria, you should be taking a Bismarck Rewani, a Doyin Salami, a Soludo, those people who can make them. You keep taking governors, right? Now, governors are the CEOs of their own states and they need to try and make deals for themselves. But there's a case, and I agree with it, that he should take members of his newly formed economic council with him on these trips in order to, try and get funds into Nigeria. But hey, and how much time?
We have
a minute.
Time.
No, it's let me get this out. President, guys, we're running out of time. So, but President Buhari went to London for what?
Well,
his health.
We're talking about that during Fresh People.
Yeah, okay, let me give you this for Fresh Press. Please, for you guys listening at 7:30, you are shutting down borders saying we should grow rice. You are continually demonizing imports into Nigeria, growing tomatoes, yet our medical sector, the president can still go overseas to get his health checked. Meanwhile, Nigerians cannot do the same. Why haven't we shut our borders to medical tourism? There you go for Fresh Press. There you
go. So that's a question. That's an assignment. You people keep giving
7:30
an assignment.
Yes,
this is him giving it back to you. Why haven't we shut the borders to medical tourism? Well, join us tomorrow, same time, 6 6:45.
Yeah, but as of Friday, 6:40. We get an extra 5 minutes as of Friday from now
I
on.
gave you an extra 8 seconds.
Thank you. I
morning.
appreciate you,
had to
Ayo.
thank me.
Yes, thank you
very
so
much.
much.
All right, Lagos. See you tomorrow. Don't forget to follow Rotus on Twitter and follow us as well. Send your questions in ahead of time.
Yes.
And he also tweets ahead of time the topics that we discussed
Yes,
during
indeed.
the show.
Yes, indeed.
All right, next up we have the Travel Wings show where we give you nice things, to make you smile. Stay tuned.
Oh, wow. Anytime those flies there. Thanks.